Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be a little bit different video compared to most of my other videos. I wanted to briefly touch on the Sidewinder and show you the components since I referenced that I felt that it was built very well, manufactured very well. So I kind of wanted to go through the components that it comes with and kind of go over them a little bit, what I like, what I don't like, what I think could be better. This isn't an unboxing video, obviously. This is a crate that I store it in and I transport it in. It seems to work out pretty well for me. I can throw it in there wet in the bed of my truck and not worry about it. And it dries usually on the way home. Obviously you want to clean everything and disinfect the counter lung and the loop hoses, but you know what I'm saying. So starting with the counter lung, my understanding is that this was farmed out to a company in Poland, no longer made by Kiss. It is extremely durable. This is very, very tough material, similar to, you know, very high quality Cordura used to make BCDs. I think my Hollis BC is probably not as stiff and as rugged feeling as this is. Overall, I'm very pleased with the counter lung, no issues whatsoever. However, if you look here where the this connects to the counter lung, there's these rings. They're kind of like rigid plastic rings. They just pop off, and whenever I disconnect this part of the counter lung from the canister that it's connected to, this tends to pop off, and then I have to pop it back on. You can feel it snap in place when it's in, and then it doesn't fall off. But you know, I wish that had been glued in, or maybe there's a reason why it's not glued in. I don't really know, but same thing on the other side. So, are they even necessary? I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know what they do. I don't know what purpose they serve. They have gotten scratched up. I don't think that was like that before. So maybe that's its purpose, to kind of save the material from getting worn out right there. In any case, it came with it, so I put it back on after every use, or if they fall off. But overall, it's very rugged. I don't foresee having any issues with this thing for a very long time. And these, if you were curious, the bungee, which I'll show you in a little bit, that straps the canister to the BC with a bolt snap. A bolt snap goes through there, and then that just keeps the top of the counter lung where it's supposed to be, so it doesn't fold down on you when you're using it. But that's the counter lung. As far as the plastic fittings, this is all very heavy duty. I mean, this is probably about 5-6 millimeters thick. I mean, this thing's not going anywhere. It does appear to be molded plastic. There's seams here, but no visible seams on the inside, and it appears to have like an insert of some kind right here, probably for more rigidity, I'm guessing. But I do not foresee having any issues with this thing whatsoever. And then the loop hoses, I went with the standard Kiss DSV. I don't have any problems with this. I know some people were saying that these things pop off. I have not had any issues with them whatsoever. I took everything apart when I first got it, took all the O-rings off, you know, just inspected everything. No problems whatsoever. It seems like very heavy duty rubber hoses, very high quality materials. You know, there were, as I said, concerns or issues or complaints about these popping off. I don't see that happening, to be honest, if they're installed correctly. I know these are used quite a bit in the automotive industry. I reference the automotive industry a lot because I have an extensive background in that field. And these are, you know, the same style clamps that are used under much more extreme conditions in the automotive field, and they just, you know, they never fail if used properly, if installed correctly. So I don't see any issues down the road with those as well. And then these are what connect or hold the tubes in place. Oh, I should probably take that apart. It is very, very dirty. But these just pop off. There's a couple O-rings in there holding the tube to the DSV. No issues whatsoever with that. And this, if you look at closely, I don't know if it comes out in video, but you can see it was machined out of a solid piece of Delrin. So very solid. You could probably run this over with a car and there wouldn't be any issues with it. Overall, very pleased with the build, with the quality of materials, very solid. I'm surprised I'm not feeling any grit in this thing considering how dirty it is, but still very clean. I probably will take it apart though. So what do I not like about this? This is about my only complaint. You can see that's coming off. And there's sand in it now, so it's never going to stick back on there again. I think if Kiss maybe engraved that or laser etched it or something, it would be a nice touch. Or I don't know, this could be better, I guess. That's all I'm saying. Not going to affect the, you know, its functionality, but it's, you know, just a little thing. So that's the hoses. And then this is one of the heads. The heads are aluminum. This one got beat up pretty bad when I went down to Lower Orange Sink. The cover here is made out of a pretty solid plastic as well. Plastic Delrin, I'm going to use those interchangeably. My point is that it's a solid piece of solid cover. No worries with that. On that note, that cover is for the ADV, automatic diluent valve. When this is pressurized, when the head and the canister is pressurized, that little black knobby thing sticks out about a centimeter, about half an inch or so. And when I press it, it'll add diluent from this hose into the loop. So again, you know, back to open water diving, you know, things we learned in open water, scuba. As we descend, everything compresses. You have to add air or gas to your BC, to your dry suit, to equalize with the higher pressures at depth, and that's the functionality of that. Additionally, if you can see that rod right there, so that rod is connected to a rubber grommet. So when this is pressurized, that rubber grommet pushes against, that way, a seat in this piece here, and it seals off pressure or gas from this hose. As the counter lung, as the loop becomes more negative, obviously the pressure on the outside overcomes the pressure on the inside, and then very similarly to a regulator, when you breathe in against that, it collapses this diaphragm, which causes this whole thing to drop down, which in turn pushes on that lever, which causes it to come off of its seat from here, allowing air to go in. Very, very rudimentary second stage regulator, but it works flawlessly. And from the factory, you know, when you start to descend and you hit that bottom where there's no more gas in the loop, you know, immediately know what's happening if you understand how it functions, and then you just take a slightly deeper or harder breath, and it automatically adds diluent to the rebreather. Very simple, not much to go wrong with it. If you understand how it works, it makes it a lot easier to get into rebreather diving. So I looked into how they worked. I hadn't seen a video actually showing the components and describing how everything functioned together, so I thought I'd include that in here. But again, this is just a very simple second stage type of setup ADV. You can press the button just like you would a second stage, purging it through the front, or just once the lung bottoms out as you're descending, you'll feel that stop, that very solid stop that lets you know that your counter lung has collapsed, and then you just inhale slightly harder. It's not very difficult at all, and it adds gas to the loop just like that, no problems. Obviously this was not connected when I got it. I added this elbow and I added this Omni swivel. It just makes it sit on my body a little bit better. I prefer it this way. Will I change it later? Maybe. I don't know. So far it's been good. It does come with this quick disconnect. One-way valve, you see the arrow there. And that connects to this hose here, which is on my Deep 6 regulators, which I like a lot. And then as far as the build quality of this thing, you could see the markings here where this was cut through. This was machined. Very well machined, very smooth edges, very sharp. No quality control issues there. I mean, this thing is, you know, just very well made. I have no complaints. But as far as quality control issues, I will say, again, you know, I'm going to tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, is this cover, that hole there is cut out after this piece is made. You can tell it's drilled out. And I don't know what they use, if they use a drill press or if somebody's sitting there dremeling these things out by hand. But the one that came with my Sidewinder was not drilled out evenly. It was more oval shaped. And when I put this thing together, the first time I dove it and I tried to inhale to activate the ADV, the automatic diluent valve, it was a lot harder to get this thing to work. And I believe it was because that plunger, that button, was in there, you know, at an angle because of the oval-shaped hole. It wasn't free to move easily. So I didn't like that they sent it to me like that from the factory, but they overnighted me a piece and swapped it out, no issues. but obviously that could have been remedied before they even sent it out to me. But it works. It works flawlessly. It works great. Very easy to diagnose if I ever had an issue with it. But you know, regular maintenance, I don't think I'll ever have a problem with it. You know, just inspect it every so often, or when I do a really nasty, dirty dive. This, by the way, I cleaned. I took this apart yesterday and got a bunch of sand and stuff out of it. I didn't want to run into any issues down the road. Just a little preventative maintenance there. But again, great build quality. I can't really say much else about this thing. Solid piece of gear here. No issues whatsoever. So that's the right canister head. Put that off to the side. And then this is the left canister head. Very similar to the right one, except this one houses the overpressure valve. This is a dry suit. Ooh, I got to take that apart. It's got a lot of sand in it. It functions the same as a dry suit overpressure valve, or dump valve. You open and close it, tighten it, loosen it to set the spring tension, and obviously you can mash down on it to get rid of some excess air during ascent. I've never really had to use it other than when I did my couple of bailout drills during training. But again, solid piece of aluminum. This thing's a little beat up again because probably Orange Grove and Ruth Springs when I was down there. But solid piece, very well built. Notice the Apeks logo on there. When Kiss was sold or picked up by the new company that bought it, it's the same company that owns Apeks, so comes with some Apeks parts on here. Very good quality, great build. Obviously it comes with the shear water electronics, which no one could ever complain about because they are just solid pieces of equipment. I chose to go hardwired. Why did I go hardwired? Because it's cheaper. Simple as that. It was cheaper to get it hardwired. I don't ever just walk around with my computer anyway. I download it to my phone, to the Shearwater app, and I look at it from there. I don't need to carry this around with me. But still cheaper to get it this way, so I did. What else? That's really about it. The 302 sensors are on there. The connectors are really small. I don't have the smallest of hands, but easy enough to get off. Those screw in to this piece here, which is, you can see, a pretty thick piece of plastic or whatever you want to call it. Very well made, machined to high tolerances, I think, as is the rest of this unit. No complaints with that as well. I should mention, these things, to screw the tops onto the canisters, also very, very happy with those. I'll take a dial and check just how well machined they are, but you can tell they are. There's no wobble in them whatsoever. These are also machined, as you can see from the lines, from a solid piece of Delrin. Very well made, solid so far, as you can see, there aren't very many moving parts in this thing, which I like. Not too much to go wrong with it. So this is one of the canisters. I marked this one as the left canister, but they are exactly the same, left and right. There's no difference other than the mounting, right? They're gonna be mirror opposites of each other because they're gonna sit on opposite sides of your body. But again, very straightforward. This is the top. What do they call these? I don't know. The top piece, the sandwiches, the sorb, the sofa line that absorbs the CO2. You pack it in there. Use proper procedures to do so, and then this would sit on top, and then having a brain fart here. This piece goes on there, gets screwed on, and then the springs push down on that top cover and keeps everything nice and sandwiched together so you don't get any channeling or any other issues that would prevent the sword from doing its job. So as far as the build quality of this thing, I mean, this thing is solid. You know, that's got to be a good 5-6 millimeters thick, not including the, I went with the insulated canisters, not the heated ones. I did spend the money on the insulation just because most of my diving is in cold water, living in the Midwest. But I mean, you cannot tell me that this thing is not just a hunking, massive, solid piece of you know, Delrin that is not going anywhere. This thing's gonna outlast all of us, I think. I think the only weak points maybe are here. If you drop this, it might compress this enough to break it, but I mean, I don't think I can even make it flex. Maybe. But don't drop it. And this thing will last you forever. It is solid. So that's those. Oh, and I was going to say, these are also obviously the X-Steep bolt snaps. I like these things. I probably own about 100 bolt snaps, and I really like how these feel. I like the low profile. If they weren't like $16 a piece, I'd buy some more. Anyhow, the counter lung sits here, and this locking ring keeps it from popping out. You know, a quick side note for those of you who do end up buying these, you know, they're O-rings that are being pressed into here, and they seal on this surface here. So once you get everything packed up, all your sword packed in and the head's on, and you're assembling everything, make sure that this surface there and this surface here is nice and clean. I just take a wet napkin and go over it before I, you know, made all the pieces together. Other than that, I mean, that's it. That's the whole thing. That is the whole rebreather. You know, I've had to take, you know, one piece off or another for whatever reason, and it, you know, I don't have to disassemble everything to get it off. I can just take what I need to take off and then put it back together with no issues. But solid unit. It's very simple, as is indicated in the name. And, you know, there's a lot of mixed feelings or a lot of opinion about what's better, an electronic rebreather or a manual rebreather. Or let me rephrase that. It's not a manual rebreather, it's a mechanical rebreather. And the reason it's not referred to or shouldn't be referred to as a manual rebreather is because it's not entirely manual. I didn't talk about this thing actually. I'm glad I remembered. So this is the valve, the MAV, manual addition valve, used to add oxygen to the loop. So there's a misconception that if you don't press this button there, oxygen won't be added, and if you forget for a minute or two, you're going to die. Well, that is not the case. This is a constant mass flow valve, and obviously it's connected to this regulator here, which I just recently put a Shearwater sensor on it, transmitter. I think I don't like the way it sits, so I might change that. Maybe put a hose on it, but that goes to the O2 bottle, feeds air to the valve. There's a needle valve in here that allows a constant flow of oxygen into the loop. The amount of oxygen that's added depends on each individual diver. From the factory, I believe they're set to 0.7 liters per minute or something along those lines. I know it's like 0.7. The average person, based off of my TDI rebreather training, consumes about 0.5. So it's set at the higher end of the average. So under normal circumstances, if you're not working really hard, if you're just kind of, you know, cruising along at a very slow pace, not exerting yourself, it's not very often you have to press that button. During my training, obviously, I did quite a bit. A lot of the drills that you go through, that you practice, require quite a bit of use, I think, just to build some muscle memory. But again, pretty foolproof, pretty rock solid piece of equipment that I don't see having any issues with. Obviously, preventative maintenance goes a long way with preventing problems from happening in the first place. So I do plan on taking that apart and you know, changing out whatever O-rings are in there and cleaning it out as necessary. But that's it. In another video, I might describe or demonstrate how I put it together. This was more just kind of going over the components themselves, and you know, just showing you that they're not just molding pieces of plastic together and you know, selling it as a you know, a rebreather that's meant to keep you alive. There is a lot of engineering and thought that is put into these things, at least mine anyway. Again, it's one of the latest versions. I don't know, I've never had my hands on or even seen a previous version, so maybe they've changed some things, I don't know. I do know that mine's a pretty solid piece of kit that I don't foresee having any issues with going down the road. Any questions, anything you want me to go over in more detail or show you a little bit more or closer, some close-ups or something, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to do that. One last thing now that I'm looking at it, as far as how these are set up, this is pretty much how it came from the factory. I think I moved them slightly over, and then I shortened this quite a bit just to get it tighter to my body. But other than that, they come from the factory pretty well set up. Don't quote me on this, but I believe they ask the dive instructor what BC you're going to use, and I would imagine they probably ask what your height and weight is, and so on, and then they base off of that, the BC and your body type, they will kind of set it up accordingly from the factory to kind of be kind of a plug and play. But that's really it. Very pleased with it again. I've said that a million times, but I can't say it enough. Besides the two small things that I talked about, solid unit. Can't wait to dive it again. I plan on going out next week. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next one.